Today's video is being sponsored by the great people over at Squarespace. Quickly build a website for your business and spend less time building your site and more time creating your images. Textures, colors, aesthetic, mood, style's the foundation for every great food photograph. What you put under that delicious recipe, the food photography backdrop, is probably one of the most important styling decisions, and finding that perfect backdrop is probably one of the most difficult parts of that process. You can walk into any shop and find great props for your shot. You can find great food for your ingredients, but a backdrop you have to hunt for. In my last video, I made that search just a little easier with some great backdrop brands to look into. But what about making your own? Pick the perfect style that you want, take pride in the fact that you made a major part of that photograph. Hey, even maybe save yourself some cash, and plus pick up a new skill along the way. So let's jump into that. Start off by creating wood plank backdrops. It's the simplest. Lay out 3 planks of wood. I picked these up at my local Lowe's. I like the tongue and groove style of the boards with all these knots and grains, kind of like a butcher block. I think that the textures will just really pop when I go to stain them. I say 3 of them because they're 12 inches wide, totaling 3 feet by 3 feet. Perfect for food photography. Line them up. Take 2 3-foot by 2-inch planks of wood. I'll be using these to secure everything together. I'm using 1 1/4 inch screws, 9 in the top and 9 in the bottom. I'll do the same process for this other type of backdrop that I'm creating. The wood is a little different here. I don't know what kind it is, but it's super lightweight. The stickers on the planks from the store read 6 inches wide, but they're really 5.5 inches. So because of that, this backdrop is going to be kind of an odd size, 2 feet 9 inches by 3 feet. By the way, I hate stickers. My 2 braces here will be the same as before, but I'll use slightly smaller screws, and the process is the same. But this time, 18 up top and 18 down below. Now that I have my base, this is where the creativity starts, and I think simple is best. Wait, hold on. So I've created 2 different types of these wooden plank backdrops, so I'm going to give you 2 different styles to finish them off with. We're going to start off with this nice dark, I don't know why they're down here, classic espresso stain. I've used this before and it always turns out great. It makes the wood nice and dark, gives it kind of that old world cigar feel. It's going to be darker than this table, and I think it's going to bring out those tongue and grooves and those knots and those textures really great. The second one I've never used before, so I'm excited to see how it turns out. It could be horrible, but it could be magical at the same time. I don't know. It's going to be a dark navy blue stain, and I think it's going to give us this nice, classic, rustic, crafty look. And it's at this point that I should mention, I'm not a professional woodworker, so take it easy on me. I want it to look good, but on top of that, creating the backdrop is a special type of meditation. And it just gives a new meaning to each and every photo featuring that backdrop that you in fact created with your own hands. Way back in the day, I would hunt around for the real thing, a real table, a real piece of wood or real metal. I know it was ridiculous, it's impossible on scale. Sure, maybe a great table will work for 1 or 2 photos, but inevitably you'll want a variety and spare having a mansion filled to the brim of amazing furniture dedicated solely to your passion of taking images of food. You'll need a tidy stack of killer backdrops in that corner of your studio. All right, with these other wooden plank backdrops, I want them to have more of a rustic feel, a weathered, textured look to them. I'm gonna be laying down 2 coats of paint, kind of like a sandwich with a glaze in between. 1 coat of paint on the bottom, and then 1 layer of this weathered crackled glaze from Valspar. I've used this stuff before and it works beautifully if you want that rustic, aged look to your newly painted backdrops. And on top of this, I'm going to paint another color, a different color, and it'll crack over to the glaze, and with some sanding and some scuffing up, you'll be able to see that beautiful color underneath. Now, according to the directions, the more you apply, the larger the crack will be, and it takes about 1 to 3 hours to set before you apply your top coat of color. So because it takes so long, I'm going to do 2 backdrops together to save some time. All right, so we're done with that step. Now we just have to wait for the 1 to 3 hours for the glaze to set. I've been with Squarespace for 7 years now, and they're absolutely instrumental to how I make money. You guys know by now that I don't often give career advice. I don't have 10 marketing secrets to share, but there is one thing that I always recommend, and I recommend it to all photographers, and that's to quickly get yourself a beautifully designed portfolio website. I mean, clients have to see your work, right? It's the number one way that I get my clients. And no matter where they find my work, they always go back to my portfolio website. A few years back, I completely redid my portfolio. I went through an entire process. I paid people a lot of money for reviews. On Squarespace, I picked a new theme that displayed my images better, which you can see right here. It's sleek, it's slimmed down. I also focused on SEO. And Squarespace has great SEO tools baked right in. It's simple and easy to optimize your site so you can start ranking for those keywords that will help get you found. With their drag and drop templates, building my portfolio, laying out my images, my galleries, updating my portfolio on the fly, Squarespace made that super easy to do. If you're a creator and you're building up your audience and you have some products that you want to sell, they have a storefront and an easy to use e-commerce platform that is simple to set up. My website is how I make money. It's how my clients find me. It's the front door to my business. And if you head over to squarespace.com right now, you can get yourself a free trial, set up your website, upload all those beautiful photos and videos that I know you've been taking. And when you're ready to launch, check out that link down in the description below. You can save yourself 10% off your first website or domain. All right, so it's finally time to put that second coat of color on top of this glaze. The glaze is not 100% dry. It's still a little tacky to the touch, so I think it's gonna be perfect to give us that weathered look that we're going for. There's nothing really special about laying down this second color on top of the glaze. I would try to make sure that you paint in even strokes following the grain so that the amount of paint and the cracks are consistent. As you can see, the crackle glaze starts working its magic almost immediately as the paint starts to dry. I'm not even finished painting the entire backdrop yet before they start to appear. So I waited the whole day to let them dry. I didn't want to mess around with them or handle them too much while they were still wet. Here's a shot of each of the 4 backdrops. I have to say they all came out pretty amazing. They still need a little time to dry before I can use them, but I'll tell you right away that my favorite is this butcher block style backdrop with the dark espresso stain. I like how dark it is. I think the food is really gonna pop off of it. It has that perfect shade of brown, which is great because oftentimes I find that wood stains come with just a little bit too much red in it, and that red, that warmth, doesn't really play well with food photography. I tend to like more neutral, cooler tones for my backdrops, and this espresso stain is very neutral. I think it's gonna work perfectly for the type of images that I wanna create. Now I have to say, this blue stain is pretty wild. Originally I had it in my mind that it would be more muted than how it came out. It might just be that this particular wood didn't soak it up enough, or maybe it reacted with the wood in a way that kicked the color up a notch, but this turned out a much brighter color than I thought. It'll be interesting to see if this is in fact a backdrop that I can use for a variety of shots. I mean, I haven't tested it out yet, so I don't know what it looks like when I place food or props on it. I mean, right now it's very colorful. I'm not used to it. Maybe it's something that I use for a very specific image, like a vibrant drink shot. The crackled paint backdrops are really neat. I love the blue on blue backdrop. I think I'm gonna get a lot of use out of that one. And the green with the white underneath is pretty cool too. Again, like the blue stain, it came out a little bit more vibrant than I had imagined. At this point, they're all looking really great. I'm really happy with the way they turned out. Maybe later on down the road, I'll scuff them up a bit with some sandpaper, maybe do a couple more things to them. I'm definitely gonna be doing the same thing on the other side of these backdrops to finish them off. But for right now, I just wanna start making some images with them and try them out. These types of wooden backdrops are so easy to make. And although the process of finding a stain or a paint that you like and that works with the type of images that you wanna create can be a little bit of trial and error, creating them is always fun, and I find it fills that little creative void in me that photography doesn't, which is actually making something with my hands. I always feel my proudest when I can stare down onto something that I built myself, and each picture I make with a backdrop that I created is a little visual reminder of that. All right, everyone, have fun. Go create some backdrops of your own. Goodbye, 2020, and I'll see you in 2021.